So it's been a very difficult week or two at this point. Let's see how this game ends, shall we? We got a low point, we got a bit of hope, and now we gotta apply this to reality somehow. I'm home. A sweet Washington's fictional cherry tree. I'm actually home. The living world is a lot shinier than I remember. Does it hum this loudly everywhere these days? Pretty much, yes. I can't believe it! You actually did it! Arbiter, it's an honor to finally meet you, sir. All the data lines up. The portal is stable. People can travel between realms without danger. We've really done it. Pythia, did it work? It worked! Mom, it's so good to see you in person. I'm glad to see you too, Adney. Hell, even glad to see your stupid face, Socrates. The feeling is mutual? Wow, you two really know how to warm your daughter's heart. That's just the divorced parents' mood. So, boss, what happens now? I'm still figuring that out. Revealing the Intelligible Realm will be a shock to the public. A bit, yes. It could bolster my cause, maybe even sway the election. But if I don't win... Oh, Marcus? If it's any consolation, Pythia, it no longer matters if you win. What happens next has already been determined. What the hell? Why is Bro got the rainbow medals? What's going on? Who is that? Let me introduce my brother, Lieutenant General Regis Plato, commander of the Third Corps. Plato? Wait, you're the one who helped you fund this pet project, yes. At some point, you must have questioned why a military officer would push for research into dead philosophers. We're taking charge of Capra and the Intelligible Realm. Big changes just became possible. We have a moral obligation to see them through. What are you going on about? What changes? Plato's Republic. Plato's Republic? So typical. It's seizing all the power for yourselves. What happened to sort of a solidarity? Not our republic. The original Plato. You can't be serious. Of course I'm serious. You've seen Pythia's struggles, Arbiter. The lengths she'd go to win. She only confirmed what I already suspected. The current system is irreparably broken. I'm sure the philosophers will come around to our viewpoint as well. Is this actually happening? Military coup? But I thought... Marcus, why? Sorry, everyone. Regis? Soldiers extort the civilians somewhere safe until this is over. Yes, sir! Yoink. Yoink. Yoink.
Nonsense!
Oh, Marcus, wait. I haven't known you long, but I know you're no fan of Machiavelli. What's going on here? If you really believe in whatever plan you have, you should be able to explain it to us. Defend it to us. Not just enact it without a word, through force and fear. What if your plans for Capra, wouldn't they be easier with us on your side? It's a long shot, but I'm not stupid, Adney. You just want to try and talk me out of this. Do you think you can be talked out of this? Because if you can, you probably should. We have a very good argument on the slate. Waste of time, Em. They won't understand. Need the element of surprise if we... No, I'll bite. Where would we be, Regis, if we didn't embody our ideals? But you'll find my position is sound. When you do, I expect you all to help. Because you are right, Ariadne. I would prefer that. Tell the troops to stand down, Ridge. We're going to resolve this like true philosophers. Alright, let's rock. Final boss, Marcus. Many of the philosophers you've spoken with will believe the participation of the public is of paramount importance. But the public is fickle. Groups vote based on flights of fancy, likability, their own biases. Rulers of democracy thus come into their positions solely based on the whims of public opinion. The process is easily subverted by those with manipulative and selfish aims, after which the damage is done. Okay, we're just starting off with the really prescient opinions here. we leaders can get elected with no real qualifications, none of the skills that make a good ruler. We're starting off with a really prescient arguments here. For this reason, democracy is failing, has failed, and will fail again. Do you see now? The reason we must act? We put it up on a pedestal, but the tragic truth is that democracy is a poisoned process. We finally have a chance to replace it with something better. Marcus, you've been working for me for years, working for the Senate. How long have you nursed these views? Sorry, boss. I believe in your ideals. Philosophy is incredibly valuable. But you've said it yourself. Every day in the system is corrosive. The only real compromises are to your principles. You've done so much for this country, and yet you still have to grovel to maintain your seat. And Ariadne, when you first came here, it was in thinly veiled despair. This country robbed you of your enthusiasm and your belief in your ability to affect the future. If public participation was working, would you have ever reached that point? And there are so many others, in much worse situations than you. People like my brother, forced down certain paths because no one is listening. You can't simply leave them to their whims of fate. In hindsight, he has really been tussling with this. It's been hinted briefly here and there, talking about mainly the struggles of his family and his brother. And that has been affected by this democracy that we live in, and its failures. So this has been building. Things are pretty messed up. I said so at the start. But look at my mom. People can break their patterns. They can change. They can grow. Can they, though? Truly? Alright, well then, ask your questions. Prove change is possible. Change my mind. Or be changed yourself. Alright, what do you mean by this? Let's acknowledge how widespread this core idea is. Power to the people. There's a nice ring to it. Nostalgic almost. Unfortunately, real life has proven it's never that simple. Alright, back this up. Locke, Marx, Fanon, Rawls, Nozick. All, in one way or another, promoted empowering the common person. All were wrong, of course, but the dream is persistent. Alright, connection? It articulates an assumption the rest of you share, establishing it clearly so I can knock it down. Something's fickle, yep. There are many things that inform how people vote, and most won't hold up if you question connections. You're not wrong. What reason do you have to support this? Look at how people assess the viability of candidates. Which candidate would you like to get a beer with is considered a key question by many pollsters. I've heard people interpret it as, which candidate do you think would like to get a beer with you? People want their leaders to validate them, I suppose. Oof. No matter how you frame it, neither is relevant to who will make good decisions under pressure. Right, relying on the public to determine your fate. God, that is what sucks. God. Oh. Whether you come to power depends less on who you are and entirely on who people think you are. On this, at least, Machiavelli was correct. Everyone has an opinion, but no one truly knows you. Pythia, you've been in the Senate for 6 years now, closing out your first term. Your programs have been generally well received, excluding ours, of course. So, tell me, what do the pundits say about you? That I'm out of touch? An elitist who thinks her liberal arts degree means she's better than everyone. Oh no, that sounds bad. Also heard you ate pie. Nothing like good old Franklin Tucker, down-to-earth deli mogul. Down to 16 different sandwich chains. I'm sure he appreciates a good pie. He does. My opposition research is very thorough. Fundamentally, you're not fighting a battle of worth. You're fighting a battle of opinion. God. I hate how real that is. Watch the cable news. No, actually, don't watch the cable news. It will poison your... It will... It is poisoning. It is poisoning. How is this connected? How this connected? This establishes the criteria leaders are actually chosen by in democracy. To destroy any illusions we have, it exposes it for the vapid popularity contest that it is. You watch your cable news of choice because they tell you what you want to hear. Especially if it's the God, recording this after everything. I don't have the energy to I don't have the energy to fight. It's just you can see it. You've been following anything the past week or two. You can see it. You can see it. Look at any Fox News headline talking about word salad nonsense, talking about any of the garbage that gets nitpicked, the fucking tan suit shenanigans, the fucking word salad bullshit. They handpick interview nonsense, say can't answer questions, can't talk on the policies. They fucking gaslight you into thinking that the other guys are the unhinged ones when they got fucking King unhinged. It's just fucking... And people eat this up. People eat this up. And we talk about the flaws of the electoral college, and then yet we have a significant portion of the population who just are in fact vulnerable to corporate cable propaganda. And it's just, what do we do when the electoral college is irreparably flawed, and there's merit to the fact that Johnny Voter can potentially get their opinion on their card from watching Fox News 4 hours a day and taking in everything that Fox News is putting out there. The carefully curated stance the news is putting out there about people, and getting angry about that, which is the reaction that is entirely intended. And how can we trust a general population to reliably pick who's in charge of us? How can we trust the Electoral College to reliably pick who's in charge of us? How can we trust people in general to reliably pick who's on top of us? And a good portion of them have been failed already, to the point where they are susceptible to this propaganda. And I suppose in the end it really comes back to what Fannin said. We need to, we need to clean out fucking stagnant shite. Still trying to put their foots down on everyone. I need to start over from the ground up. Just fucking widespread education. Like what Fannin said, the most important thing is to educate the populace. Again, I never get around irreparable discrimination and whatnot, but most important thing is to fucking educate the population. Put time and money into bettering our education. Maybe there'll be a chance to turn this fucking country around years down the line. Hey, look at this. We were just talking about the news. Here's our manipulative and selfish aims. One terrible ruler can do far more damage than several good rulers can undo. It's easier to destroy than to build, after all. Do you really need reasoning, Adney? Look at things. Look at things. Do you not have any supporting evidence, Marcus? No, I have far too much evidence. It's, frankly, painful. I've got something, a bit of military history. Have you heard of Benito Mussolini? Won a three-party election in Italy in 1924. He used numerous dirty tricks, but they worked. He won with 2/3 of the vote. Shortly after, he banned the other political parties. That was the last free election in Italy until his death. Italy would go on to be a key Nazi collaborator in World War II. If it could happen to them, it could happen to us. Well, damn. When our only fucking hope is that the fucking raging bastard is too inept and money hungry to do truly irreparable damage to the democracy. That's really sad. This establishes the odds in democracy are not odds we can afford to play. If we lose even one gamble badly enough, we can lose everything. What do you mean by this? When qualifications don't matter, then someone with no qualifications could matter the most. That wasn't a clarification so much as a poetic restatement. I'm sorry. I guess psyching myself up for dramatic action makes me prone to drama. I'll poke around more first. Can always press on this later. There's more to hear here. You're here? What reason do you have to support this? Let's imagine we have two candidates running for a board of health. One is a doctor, the other is a sweet shop owner. Sweet shop owner points to the door and says, look at them. They hurt you, steal your blood, and stick you with scary needles. I, on the other hand, deliver you candy, and I promise to continue delivering candy as long as you deliver the votes. Hold on. I love sweets and all, but the doctor actually helps everyone. Yes, they do, and they could try to explain that the pain they cause is in pursuit of a better life for all. Even if they tried, who do you think most people would vote for? I have to think a lot of them would make the right choice. You can hope, but look at the world. No matter what ideals you hold, I'm sure you can find a leader who sweet-talk their way into an office they're unqualified for. Yep. Establishes the worst-case scenario for democracy, and one that has happened time and time again throughout the world. What do you mean by this? You ever thought I was perhaps being too blunt? Let me try again. Democracy as a system doesn't really work. Alright, your reasoning. How often do you jump to the end of a book and ask, hey, what led to this point? My previous statements support this one. I'd recommend reviewing those. Yes, sir? Connection is my conclusion. It's my overall point. It's the point of all of this. In fact, democracy doesn't work as what forces our hand. Mom, finding a weakness here is not as easy as I hoped it would be. Because he's your fears amplified. He's all of our fears, really. You yourself argued democracy has flaws. He's taken that a step further, and arguing it's fundamentally broken. Might be there isn't enough here for us to use yet. The first step is to get more information out of him. Break his reasoning down into smaller chunks. Why does he believe what he believes? Oh, we really do have supportive mom here. Actually clarify. Sure. That doesn't change the fact that I need to know more. I'll admit, things can get pretty messed up in a democracy. Not everyone votes rationally. There isn't an easy solution to that. I certainly don't have one at the moment. I also have no idea what you're proposing instead. What qualifications even qualify? For all I know, you could agree with Machiavelli after all, and think our leaders aren't ruthless enough. Never. Machiavelli's philosophy is monstrous. Your discussion with him made that quite clear. This from the guy who brought an army to the debate. Any real change requires leverage. May be unpleasant, but it's a well-established fact. Yes, I get you think that. But what system do you want to change to? You demand our leaders possess a certain set of qualifications. A set that should be obvious to all of you, especially now. Arbiter? This is an ancient ideal, Marcus. A dream from another time. Do you really think it belongs here, in the present? I do. I'm totally lost. Why would the Arbiter know what you're about to argue? The statements echo mine from millennia ago. There's only one group qualified to lead us all. One group dedicated to reason and truth. Philosophers. Ooh. Let the philosophers be kings, alright. We need, more than anything, our rulers carefully selected for their ability to think critically. Such skills are essential for choosing justly when facing the important decisions governing entails. Philosophers meet the standard, those who spend their days trying to decipher truth, deduce right and wrong. Since the voices of philosophers are easily drowned out, they must be placed above those of the masses. Philosophers must become kings. Only then will we have a stable society governed by reason and wisdom. The portal finally open, we've gained access to all great thinkers from everywhere and every when. This is our best chance to establish this sort of leadership Plato dreamed of. A leadership of reason that would benefit all. But you deprive millions of their right to determine the laws that affect them. Millions of people are already deprived of those rights. The representatives serve only themselves, willfully misleading the people in order to keep power. I've seen it. I've had to meet and follow orders from these people. At least our approach gives power to the deserving. This information? Yeah? When power is restricted to those capable of reasoning through all complications, everything will change. We'll no longer compromise what's right from what's comfortable. Artificial hierarchies will be dismantled, and misinformation debunked. With so many years of bluster and inaction, this is our best hope to solve the problems we face. You're not wrong there, in that small microcosm alone. This is unbelievable. You keep trying to frame this as logical and just. But we're not going to simply let you enact your little revolution and... Wait! Marx? Oh, hi, Marx. Did I hear correctly? Is the revolution finally occurring? I've longed for the day when American workers would throw off their golden chains and dispose on the oligarchy of the rich. Not all the workers, just these guys and their rogue troops. They're not implementing anything close to communism. Oh. That is immensely disappointing. You should stop them. Thanks, Marx. Working on it. Oligarchy of the rich. Hello there. Never fear. I am also here. Oh, wonderful. Captain Democracy himself. Arbiter, are you aware you left the gate open? We were able to just stroll on through to the land of the living. Yes, I'm quite aware, Locke. We're trying something new. An open-door policy. So far, well, it launched a coup. It was not the intended result, but it is interesting. Locke, out of curiosity, how would you feel about disposing of democracy and putting yourself in charge? That sounds like a terrible idea. Don't you remember how badly I was defeated during my last election? I only received one vote. Me. There's no way I'd be able to maintain power without the people's consent. Oh? That's what I thought. That proves nothing. It's only natural some philosophers would disagree with this plan. But the point is not that the great thinkers will agree on every decision. It's obvious they won't. Their ideas are as distant from one another as the stars in the sky. We can be sure any decisions that emerge from their discourse will be better informed than those of the masses. Go ahead. Ask whatever questions you like. I'll prove this is the best choice. Alright. What do you mean by this? We need our rulers to be reasonable people, able to sort through information, consider multiple positions, and then act with wisdom. Only those capable of doing so should be allowed to lead. Selected. Allowed. Who exactly is selecting and allowing, Marcus? Is it you? Those who have already proven themselves to possess such wisdom are the best to judge. But I know that may seem like a circular position, and normally it would be. Luckily, we already have a strong starting point in the Intelligible Realm. What reason do you have to support this statement? These days, misinformation is rampant. The noise-to-signal ratio is too damn high. With facts and falsehoods flying everywhere, deciphering it all is a job unto itself. The ability to reason well is the only anchor we have in the current of current events. We cannot be led by those who are easily swept away. If you require more thoughts, my next point also directly supports this one. Connection. Fundamental need our new government will fulfill. Alright. Without basic critical thinking skills, the leader has no chance to rule justly or competently. Their only hope to stay in power is to constantly distract from their own ineptitude. Consider a scenario where we have two potential leaders, one ruled by passion and the other by reason. A third politician insults these leaders on national TV. Next day, that politician's district is struck by natural disaster. The right thing to do would be to set aside any grudges and direct emergency services to help the citizens affected. The leader ruled by passion might deliberately hold up resources, blame the third party, make the situation worse just to settle a score. Bad reasons, self-interest rules. You've made this point yourself, alright, time and time again. Alright. Yeah, that also feels like a... That also feels very real. Let's not say that. That feels very real. Alright. Critical thinking skills are essential for leadership. Alright. Philosophers already embody the traits we need in our leaders. They dedicate their lives and afterlives to sifting falsehood from truth, separating mere opinion from understanding and folly from wisdom. Alright, support? Amphithia, I'll direct this question to you. What inspired you to found Capra? I believe philosophers have indispensable wisdom to share. What's that? I believe philosophers have indispensable wisdom to share. Marcus, it's twisted that you somehow made it painful to say that. Just illuminating the obvious. On some level, you already agree with me on the value of philosophers. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. But what about Machiavelli? Or Euthyphro from last time? Not every philosopher we've encountered has been reasonable. Oh, good old Euthyphro. It's possible that not every philosopher in the intelligible realm meets these qualifications. Let all else being equal, those who have acquired some wisdom make better leaders than those who have acquired none. I mean, not that Machiavelli might have some wisdom. Because given his chapter, he was never full-heartedly defending his position. He was only doing it out of pride, because of his only work that got recognized, became known for it. So he gets the intelligible realm, he has to defend it, despite it maybe leaving a bad taste in his mouth. So if he's able to cast that aside, maybe he can. Action. Established a need in the point, at this point establishes that philosophers fill it. What do you by this? Mean that the people are fundamentally a hindrance to good government. Will the philosophers must come first to save the people from themselves. Alright. They put, most do not care to hear from the wise. They do not see the relevance their reasoning can have in their lives. Why should I listen to some old nerd I've never met, when I could instead listen to Kelly's hottest gossip? Much I hate to admit it, that pretty much describes Dad a few years ago. Before, he died and met all the philosophers himself. It's true. Why can I get enough of Kelly's hot gossip? Well, when he put those old nerds in charge, everyone will have to listen. They'll finally be able to use their wisdom to better the world. Action. This is the ultimate point. People pay attention to their leaders. People should pay attention to philosophers. Therefore, philosophers should be our leaders. What do you mean by this? Most because society is fraying at the edges, lost its own manufactured conflicts. With philosophers at the helm, they would be able to chart a better course for all. Why does everyone keep using sailing metaphors? Yeah. In first argument with Confucius, he spoke of the positive effects a just ruler can have on the people. Though the way he thought we'd get such leaders was flawed, this point is still valid. The good leader can better the character of the country. With our leaders governed by reason, society as a whole will become more reasonable. Thus, the Republic would be a better society for all. Alright, Republic would be general and good. Not just for the philosophers, but for all the people they would rule. Okay, Marcus believes the philosopher's wisdom makes them uniquely qualified to rule. Now I know what he's arguing for. And not just against, I can get to the root of any issues. I have to find a problem with this idea, or what the implications that stem from it. Otherwise, Regis is going to take control. There's no telling what will happen then. We can do this, Ari! Thanks for the vote of confidence. Oh. So what do we have in the idea slate here? See, I think... And we spent a good portion of the second half of this game really talking about expanding the idea of the consent of the people. Hell, maybe I'm just focusing on Fanon's chapter specifically, but... And there's the point of where to challenge this. Philosophers become kings. Yes, true. Philosophers have the critical thinking skills to make decisions correctly, to make decisions reasonably and fairly. A la the Veil. But...
Nonsense!
Yes. Hold on, Marcus. You want to put all these philosophers in charge, right? Correct. Because if we don't, the voice of reason will never be heard. Unfortunately true. It's easier to mislead the public than inform them. And they take advantage of that fact. Philosopher kings could focus on solving our problems without worrying about public opinion. Right. There's just one teensy-tiny major problem with your solution. What happens when public opinion says philosophers are the problem? Marcus, multiple philosophers have discussed the threat of rebellion for good and ill. Unhappy citizens will turn against their leaders and establish different ones. Like you are now? In your world where only a small elite can make decisions, how long do you think that will take? If the philosophers rule with a just hand and good intentions, I get the appeal, General. God help me, I do. There's no such thing as perfect leadership. As Adne said before, sometimes events are outside our control. In the face of such unpredictability, even your philosopher kings would make mistakes. When people see these oh-so-wise rulers struggle, they'll flip the nearest table. All those philosophers, dead or alive, will get an express ticket to the Intelligible Realm. Is that how it works? Can we die again if we stay here? I should have considered the full implications of this portal being completed. Unanswered metaphysical questions aside, systems like democracy have peaceful outlets to express discontent. By its very nature, your approach cuts off people's ability to influence the world. You've created the perfect formula for rebellion. Whatever order you establish will only be toppled once more. Nice work, Ari. Honestly, I'm just really impressed with everything you've been doing. We've come full circle. In the end, democracy is, in fact, the perfect... Well, that was nice while it lasted. Thanks, Locke. You made some solid points here, Ariadne, but they don't go as far as you think. Yes, people will rise up if they don't feel respected, as they should. That's far from a guaranteed outcome in the Republic. You're taking the power away from the people. Taking away direct power. That's very different from taking away all power. I would not have pursued this plan if I believed it would cut people out of the system. Everyone benefits of the public still has an outlet to contribute. The philosophers call the shots of the Republic. The average citizen is not cut out of the process. Individuals are free to present their troubles and opinions to the philosophers through regular forums. Citizens are rewarded for their own ability to make their points, and the most persuasive ideas are elevated. Thus we get the best of both worlds, the will of the people, filtered by the wisdom of the philosophers. So you see, the people are not cut out at all. Individuals are always free to appeal to their leaders, who then use their own wisdom to turn those appeals into policy. Engaging with people, the philosophers stay connected to the state of the world and what the people are dealing with. Winning apathy. Yeah, that is... See, there's value in Marcus's values here. This really isn't much different from a representative democracy, in which the important choices are made by elected officials. Only the public doesn't have the chance to choose incompetent or bigoted officials. We now have access to an afterlife that identifies great thinkers for us. That was the whole point of this operation. So everyone has to die before they can rule? We're establishing a lichdom now? Imagine various living individuals, through making their cases, could prove themselves experts in reasoning in various subject matters. Academia has a whole structure for peer reviews. Our leaders should be held to at least the standard of our scholars. Hi, Fannin. As someone who has been through that process, the standard is rife with selection bias, nepotism, and all the hallmarks of colonial thought. Fannin, why did you... Of course I'm aware, Fannin. I experienced it all as well. If the Republic would elevate all great thinkers, from Ibn Khaldun to Ogundipe Leslie, it even restored those erased by the history books. Please, Dr. Fannin, with your support I know we could build something better. Everyone wants my endorsement lately. Did you all miss the part where I said that putting leaders on a pedestal should be avoided at all costs? That includes me. And to derive your entire worldview from Plato's Republic, I don't care if you share his name. It's ridiculous. Justice must be found within the struggles of the people, not in the dead dreams of European men. Oof! Fannin is back spitting fire. The fact you hold the people in such high regard is the whole reason we believe in you, Fannin. Same with Locke and even Marx. That drive, to always be one who questions, is what we need in leadership, now more than ever. It's also why I'm letting myself be questioned instead of barreling ahead. Well then, let's hope the questioner is up to the task. My life has quickly turned into a political thriller. Ari? I think that's your cue. Alright, okay, questions. Ooh. I feel very nervous under Fannin's eye. By being the seemingly most down-to-earth personality-wise, Fannin also somehow becomes incredibly intimidating. As like, he gives off the aura of the real-world teacher, professor, who, like, is unerringly serious and incredibly intelligent, and the kind of thing that you wanna, the kind of thing that maybe it's an opinion unique to me, but the kind of thing that you wanna submit a good essay or do a good assignment for, just to kind of get a nod of acknowledgement from someone as respectful as him. Which is my own outsider perspective. Wow. His own view is perfectly reasonable. That, yeah, the problems that he's laid out rises when you put leaders on a pedestal. Like they're doing to him. But there is some merit in the way Marcus and the way the Platos have explained themselves here. Alright, what do you mean by this? People have more to do than twiddle their thumbs as they wait for the judgment of the philosophers. Oh yeah? Are they allowed to twiddle their toes too? People still have plenty of freedom in the Republic. They can twiddle whatever the hell they want. More importantly, they will have options to affect the decisions that are made. Alright? Power is not all or nothing. Though thinkers will make the final decisions, those decisions must be rooted in the experiences of the people. You don't have to be in charge to order them. Yeah, you don't have to be in charge in order to have meaningful influence. It sure helps, though. This is my thesis. It establishes what I intend to prove in this argument. It also makes it clear that I intend to address your previous concerns. Alright. Bet. And by this some sort of medieval thing? Go up to your philosopher king and beg? Oh, my brainy liege, hear my plea! There'll be nothing like that! Well, actually, it will be something like that. with more dignity and multiple leashes. Leashy? I love the implication here that Ari's silly dorky references normally fly over the heads of the other philosophers. But Marcus actually gets the references, and kind of panics a little bit. Regardless, spaces must be created for people to question their views, present their views and problems to a panel of philosophers who will in turn ask questions in order to assert validity. A better comparison would be a legal case, a Senate hearing, or the peer reviews I discussed earlier. The whole peer review idea of elected leaders. Something to that. But then again, that also reminds me of like the Senate confirmation hearings, which are hardly as unbiased and reasonable as they should be. It feels like. This is a core structural idea for the Republic. It's less something to back up as it is a mandate that must be established. Given all the people access to all the philosophers, the entire system will be more just.
Nonsense.
It's easy to say all the people, but access to these sessions will be limited. Even in the intelligible realm, my schedule is almost entirely booked. Some spoiled individuals will seek more attention than others. Machiavelli just tried to book an entire week after the thrashing this one gave him. Did you let Darth Linguini book that whole week? No, of course not. Well then, imagine you'd apply that same judgment to the audiences you granted while in leadership, wouldn't you? Everyone will have a chance to make their case. Connection? This establishes how average people can engage with the system. Alright. Philosophers are well equipped to filter through the noise of illogic that dominates the current discourse. People who come in and try to create a scapegoat for their problems will find they have little sway. And citizens who approach these audiences with well-supported arguments will get a lot more mileage out of them. You have more experience dealing with these philosophers and their rules of engagement than anyone else. You've seen how they push back against flimsy points, but adjust to take stronger ones into account. I mean, for the most part, sometimes they just freak out and yell a bunch. You think, bro? Alright, I'll give you that. But overall, yeah, fine. I mean, said so myself. It's nice so many of them actually listen. Well, there you have it. In the end, if you have something compelling to offer, the philosophers can change their minds. So you just have to offer something compelling. Subject matter experts, scientists, historians, and even accountants will naturally have more sway on the topics in which they are knowledgeable. Uh-huh. What, do you think you can butter us up by pretending to appreciate accountants? After all these years... Dad, no, stop! I was just connected to the rest of your argument. Establishes how, everywhere within the system, the ability to reason is still important. It also states how citizens could establish themselves as great thinkers and join the council. Huh. Okay, so... Approved by the council, you can eventually join the council. Interesting. If nothing else, I have to admire Machiavelli. I have to admire Marx's belief in the power of debate. He thinks only a few people can actually do it. Tendency to revere psychic philosophers at odds with general distrust of humanity. Yes, profile him, Fannin. God, it feels good to not be on the receiving end of his notes for once. Is that directed at Marcus or Ari? Fear of therapy persists. Ah. Dude, what do we mean by this? The whole purpose of these audiences is to educate the philosophers on what the people want and need, so they use their wisdom to meet those needs. Ah, excellent. Much like Lenin's Vanguard Party. Oh right, Marx is still here. Sure, except we don't cut out business owners, and people are still allowed to disagree once a decision has been made. So really, nothing like the Leninist ideal at all. Goodbye, Marx. This is supported by everything I've said up to this point, is it not? I don't know why you put up with half these questions, Em. It's not her fault she feels compelled to question everything, working theories that it's genetic. That would explain a lot about this family. Well, most of the time, it's for the best that she does. Most of the time. Yeah, okay, I'm still here. Group consultation session on the state of Ari. Nice. Alright, connection. This is my conclusion. You argued I would cut the people out. This shows that, in fact, I would not. People will still be instrumental in the Republic. I believe they'll have more success finding a sympathetic ear than in our democracy. Maybe. If they could buy into the system to begin with, then maybe. Alright. Now, do we present Fanon's point here? I'm gonna try it.
Nonsense!
Marcus? Even if they are elevated to the council, they are still ordinary citizens. These forums are meant to give people a way to reach the philosophers, right? With hope that citizens who make their arguments more compelling will gain more influence. That seems only logical. If you present strong evidence or structure your argument well, you should be more persuasive. That is how we try to do things in the Intelligible Realm. I confess I am partial to the approach. Oh, I am too. It works great, when everyone is on equal footing. Can you really claim everyone's feet are equal? I'm confused. What's wrong with our feet? Metaphorical feet, Socrates! Evidence, merit. It's nice to think of these things as signs of the worthy. And they're certainly important. Those who are privileged in our society, the wealthy, members of the dominant culture, are inherently better positioned to succeed. It's easier to build a solid case when you have access to all the finest materials. We'll counter that. Make sure everyone has equal time to be heard. Even then, pre-existing advantages and disadvantages will remain a factor. Ben had talked at length about how those regularly denied opportunities are, as a result, fully positioned to seize whatever opportunities do emerge. A cycle of alienation. Recall Marx's oligarchy of the rich? Or maybe both of those were viable presents here. How those with wealth can distort the system? Hell, they could try and straight up bribe philosophers. Anything to make their case compelling, right? Philosophers are dedicated to justice. They should listen to those who are unheard. And if they're already at the top, why would they care about a few extra bucks? Lots of reasons. Maybe I want a new hat. Bye, Nozick. Could have entered a better time, Nozick. Because everyone is here now, except Machiavelli. Hi, Confucius. We invited him. I believe he's afraid of you. Yeah, as he should be. But back on track. Simple truth is, Marcus, philosophers are not immune to bias. They're not immune to self-interest. Your system puts no check on them at all. Do you really want to take their goodness on faith? You've got him, Ari. I'm so proud of you, Pumpkin. I feel like I should be insulted, but instead, I agree. You're still out of order, civilian. Marcus, tell her everything she's gotten wrong.
Nonsense.
And no, Regis. Once again, she makes a good point. Tell her what? I'll admit, if we take too much on faith, we could be susceptible to false or fallen thinkers. This is a serious issue for the Republic. Plato said so himself. But a serious issue doesn't mean an unsolvable issue. Can't deny that it could be possible for philosophers to lose sight of justice. If they were to acquire private lands, spouses, and money, their interest would indeed turn to maintaining them rather than knowledge. Yeah? Yeah? So we'll put limitations on them to prevent them from being distracted. We place power in their hands under these conditions, we can be sure they will never become corrupted. There we go. The philosophers need checks, so we'll keep them in check. The right precautions can keep even the weakest philosopher focused. Well, I'm definitely not a fan of this proposal. First, we were placed on a pedestal, which was already suspect. Now that pedestal feels more like a prison. But if we assess this situation from behind the veil, it does, in fact, seem necessary to put checks on any ruling group, does it not? A truly superior man shouldn't need such restrictions. Suppose accepting them would allow us to model such acceptance from others. Ah, the superior man is back. Am I missing something? I thought we had him, but now it seems like the philosophers are seriously considering the Republic. The model of a superior. He and Regis have been planning this moment for years, hadn't they? It was never going to be simple. During my own scary final debate, we were the only ones at stake. I knew I had to keep going. Trust my gut when it said, this isn't right. I feel the same thing here. Socrates is right, Adney. Sometimes you just have to keep fighting. Recognizing those moments is as important as recognizing when to back down. And although the tunnel is long, I feel we're getting closer to the end. Well, Ariadne, I'm waiting. Right, okay, let's do this.